So we should be live now.
Okay, let me see.
Help us.
Let me see.
Help me, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
Okay, let's see. Okay, now St. Paul's is live.
Yay! Technology's great until it's
we
not.
need like a secondary camera to capture the bloopers beforehand.
Or maybe
Okay.
we need to delete that.
Anyway, or yeah, maybe we should.
Okay,
Hello,
so we're
Amy
no
can
longer live
see
with
us.
Trisha.
Trisha can see us in the correct place. So how many times did we go live on your Facebook feed there, Trisha? And were we broadcasting and did we say anything we shouldn't have?
We would never do that.
Boy,
We
you know
would-
that Trisha Valcarcel.
Well,
Holy
we didn't
cow.
know we were broadcasting, so that whole time it was red and we're just sitting here. It was
Jibber jabber.
Chopping it up.
broadcasting on somebody's.
So welcome back to Gathered at the Table on St. Paul's Facebook.
Yes, finally on
Yes,
St. Paul's Facebook.
we're back.
Two or three times we were live on Trisha's feed.
See, we get a week off, and then we got to knock the rust off again.
See,
And maybe a quarter panel and a tire.
we just wanted to boost Trisha's likes. That's all.
Yeah, you should probably delete those, Trisha. If you have that, you should go delete those.
So hopefully everybody can hear us okay. Do we have folks on?
Yeah, Trisha and Amy are both on there.
They're both probably laughing and looking at these fools.
Probably.
We're going, I don't
Betsy
have
missed
time for
it.
all
That's
this
okay. We were on Trisha's. You didn't miss anything here at St. Paul's. We weren't here. Okay.
So we're gonna a couple of announcements. I know we want to highlight our Wednesday Lenten worship where we're tracing through the places of the Passion. We've been to Bethany and Jerusalem so far, and I want to say this week is the Mount of Olives. I'm not sure.
I want to say
Go
it's
ahead,
the-
then.
I want to say. I think
He's
I
feeling
already,
awful froggy today. I'm a little scared.
I think it is the Mount of Olives.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Gethsemane yet.
No,
No.
that's later.
No, that's later. Yeah.
But
Well,
yes.
Tune in
Mount
on
of
Wednesday to
Tune
find
on
out.
Wednesday to find out. Yes, we are
Yeah.
here live and in person, and I don't foresee any weather on the horizon, so come
Above
out and
freezing
join
temperatures.
us.
Anything else?
Hopefully, by the end of the day, the new sign will be up.
Yes, Russ is working
That'll be
diligently. He was here quite
exciting.
early this morning.
Trying to be diligent. We'll see.
Yep, and I think the quilts and the soup, we're all squared away on those.
Yeah.
We did pretty well. I think we had over 50 quilts and then 430 some cans of soup. So we're very thankful for that.
Yeah. That was awesome.
I know Congregational Life is exploring the potential for some kind of strawberry festival this year. So they're looking for volunteers because that's really what's going to drive whether or not we do something. So if you're feeling called to volunteer, if you feel like taking up your cross and seeing how that goes, we would love for you to be a part of that.
Or you could take up your vine.
Yeah, Strawberry
strawberries.
Festival's not really so. He's not actually been to a Strawberry Festival
I have
before,
not.
so it's not as sacrificial as he's making it sound.
Well, I'm just giving you, the joy of carrying your cross for this weekend, for Sunday.
Okay. Oh, that
I
was
dug
a
it
sermon.
in there pretty quick.
That was a sermon
Teaser.
teaser.
Probably not your best, but it was an attempt.
We gotta.
It
Because
worked.
we were kind of not
we're
sure
like,
where you were going. with
What's happening? What's happening? Anyway.
Anyway,
All right. So enough banter. We've got 6 people on, and the weather is fine, and we are ready to.
we're finally connected.
We're finally connected on the right Facebook page.
So we're gonna talk about. We're gonna finish up the ELCA social statement on education this week, and we are to the part in their overview, their three page of 73 page overview where we talk about education for vocation in the world. So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to be chatting about today and finishing up. Really, what this is affirming is trying to make sure that our children are prepared academically for life in the world, so that they prepare for what it is that they're going to do after they move on from, high school, college, secondary school, whatever it is. And that's part of our responsibility, is to encourage them to do what it is that's in their hearts. I mean, we talk a lot, and I saw the announcement today for the town of Walkersville offering scholarships to those who are looking for VOTEC schools.
The Borland Scholarship, yep.
Right. So, I mean, I think a very competent and capable mechanic is a very positive commodity in this world.
Probably because he's used a mechanic a couple times last year.
I don't know if he was necessarily a mechanic other than a body shop, but
Body
those
shop.
two are very well-skilled people. Yes, one was not my fault.
One of the two.
One of the two.
Half the time.
Half the time I'm okay. But it's also a part where we look at making sure that our children, or those who we associate with coming up in the academic world, are also prepared to handle financial obligations, so that they understand how the world works. And it's not just like, I know at my former work, when people would earn leave, it was earn it and burn it, as opposed to, maybe you save up for when you're really sick.
You really need it.
Right. So, and not saying, that you don't spend money, or you don't do this, or you don't do that, but I think we have a responsibility to teach, not that we maybe all have the financial aptitude that other people might have to do this, but at least we can prepare them. How do you, well, people don't use a checkbook anymore, but.
But this was a good teaser, because I believe next week we'll be delving into the economic life social statement.
That's
so
right. Yes.
But the first section of this says there are 4 purposes for all educational institutions. Preparing students academically, you said that, right? Encouraging their personal flourishing, developing their knowledge and wisdom, and instilling a delight in learning.
There is, some have delight and some don't. That.
Well, I think it depends on what. I think almost everyone could love learning, as long as it was something that they were interested in.
Right, absolutely.
Someone who's interested in, things on a molecular level are not going to be interested in the history of the Tudor family or whatever,
Right. Sanskrit. Right.
That's totally different things. But part of it is helping instill encouraging them to learn what they love.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right, and finding different ways for people to learn. People learn different ways.
Oh, absolutely.
I got to put my hands on stuff most of the time.
Yeah,
So,
I would agree.
you
Yeah.
know,
I'm a visual learner.
If I do it, then I learn it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So part of it, our responsibility is helping others engage in
Encouraging.
how. Encouraging.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
and that doesn't mean we have to teach it. If we can find somebody who
Right.
can do it.
Or yeah, like you said, encouraging. Just
Right.
just saying, oh well, you're dumb. You're just never going to get that. Or you.
Right. It's like,
Let's look at that a different way. Let's find you
it's
someone
like
else to teach.
I learned basic drywall in high school in a thing, and it was, how do you fix the small hole in this manufactured wall? Well, that came in handy with me and my buddy when my basement flooded out, because we ended up drywalling the whole basement. And, it started out a little messy, but as we got
Learn
towards
as
the
you
end,
go.
that's right.
And then the third thing was what you had just said, prepare students for productive work and financial responsibility.
Yep.
And then equip them to live and serve in a complex, diverse, interdependent global society and be responsible civil citizens. That seems like a
There's a
mouthful.
lot.
There's a lot in that.
There is
Absolutely.
a lot. Yeah. And I think that is, if you look at it and hear that live out, it's really, how do we interact with other people? How are we, and especially how do we interact with people who are not the same as me?
Right.
And there shouldn't be any difference. There's that learning about, the different people and different culture and different this or that, but we shouldn't be treating anybody differently. It should be, I love my neighbor and I treat you as I would treat myself.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have had this epiphany, but I just realized that St. Paul's is kind of living out this statement more than I guess I thought we were in a vocational essence, because of our support and providing Frederick East Classical to a place to meet.
Yep.
I didn't. Anybody? Nobody. I didn't think
Yeah.
about
I
that
was
until
trying to figure that out, but yeah, that works, absolutely.
In supporting that institution in their education of children, we're living out some of these things that I hadn't really thought
Yeah,
that
and
Look at us
about
go.
before. Look at I am like, and she's the coordinator and liaison for that place. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
but
that was my light bulb moment.
yeah, and I know that you and I were both involved last year with their devotions and stuff like that, and they've kind of had to change that around
COVID.
because of COVID. But at some point, I hope certainly, and I believe you do as
Yeah.
well, to get back into that where we have more interaction with those kids. And certainly we do. We are certainly having the interactions with the teachers and the administrators.
Yeah, but supporting, going back and, encouraging them to find their best way to learn.
Right.
I just had, as we're just reading this out now, like, I don't know how many times I've read this summary, but just now I was just like, oh, hey, we're kind of doing that.
Yeah.
Good job, us. Anyway.
Yeah.
Check. All right, what topic do you want to jump into next?
So the one that I highlighted was that it views education of young people to be a shared responsibility between parents, schools, religious bodies, and the community. And that's certainly, we've talked about it a lot, especially in the guise of Luther, where that's where he believed a lot of education began, was in the home with the family, and then it was supported by church and school, and those were the building blocks. And I think a lot of families have gotten out of that routine or that mantra where they're not relying, well, I would say it's different now in the pandemic.
I was about to say, but then they got thrust back into that role,
Right.
unprepared, and that this could just help shift perspective of how things are supposed
Although
to go.
most are trying to sweep their kids out the door. Today was the
Yes.
first day of school, so
For cohort B, yes.
yeah.
There are parents all over the county enjoying quiet homes.
But yeah, I thought that really spoke to me because that's, to me,
Well, if you look at, parents commuting, because both parents work.
Yeah.
They both commute. So by the time you get done, sit in traffic, get home, get some food together, you don't want to intermingle with your family, or you just want to be left
Algebra,
alone.
what?
And then,
Spelling words?
yeah.
What are homophones? Yeah, I remember this. Yeah. I didn't have a long commute. Mine's just right across the street, but still, I was.
Yeah. No, I did. I mean, for me, it was an hour, and then and then the kids have sports practices and band
Scouts
or drama or whatever, and kids weren't getting home till after really dinner time, and then they still had their homework to do, and and most of them just barricade themselves in their rooms, and there is no interaction except for when parents have days off, and still that is not necessarily the case.
Right. There needs to be more unscheduled time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I think we're all learning. We're learning a lot from 2020.
Yeah.
not all of it's bad either,
Not all
which
of
is
it's
good.
bad. Not all of it's good. Deb said that it's good support, and we like to think we support all of our schools, especially public schools, and then added that it's very challenging balancing everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Indeed. Which, I think I don't know who said it, hopefully someone other than Hillary Clinton, but there was it takes a village to raise a child kind of concept, and I think that's true. You really can't be an island.
Well, I mean, you think about back when we were kids, that's what it was. The whole town,
Or in my case, cousins. There
Well-
were always cousins around.
well, yeah, but
Half the town.
Half the
half the
town,
town.
cousins, whatever.
But for me, it was all the neighbors, and wherever we hung out at our friend's house,
Oh, yeah.
they were, just as much a parent to us as our real parents were. So
Right. Yeah. They'll tell you where you're supposed to be and where you're not.
that's right. And when you're supposed to be there.
Yep,
Yes.
street lights are on.
Street lights are on. Do we want to go over what the expectations for public schools are? Because I thought that was interesting. too.
Sure.
Yeah, I found some of that stuff pretty interesting too.
Yeah. So as the summary, the statement articulates expectations for public schools: be communities of learning and teaching. Yeah. Have a role in teaching and forming students to live morally in society. That's a tough one. I think that's a tough one to just put on just the schools, without the support of outside entities, parents,
yeah.
Well, I think that's what
communities,
they're,
churches.
they hit on that before, that we all have to work together. So I think that's not just on the
Just
schools.
on
I think
the
that's
schools.
they're expected to do as well. I
Yeah.
think is what they're getting at.
Right.
Yeah. And then teach. This one I found interesting. Teach about religion, but not sponsor religious exercises such as prayer or devotional readings of religious texts, nor that they advocate for or against particular religions. So, education about religion without bias.
Yeah, so think of how helpful that would be in our society right now.
Would be so helpful.
Where if we taught about Christianity and Islam and Hindu and whatever all else,
Judaism,
Judaism, it all, if we had an overview of what these were, then maybe there wouldn't be so much animosity.
Well, I think they do some, because I don't know how many years it's been. How old's my son? Yeah, it's been a few. But they had a class, and they talked about Islam in it. And we were selling Boy Scout popcorn. And one of the kids that was there that was selling with him, they're Muslims. And they got into nobody said anything. They got into this conversation about it, talking to each other about it. It was we just sat back and we're like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Just selling popcorn,
Selling popcorn,
popcorn.
talking about
religion.
religion. I think it would garner or build respect between just having a knowledge base. I mean, because a
Yeah.
lot of opinion is based on
Well, I mean,
or information or no information at all.
Look at the difference between, say, Islam and Sikhism.
I don't know what that is.
Sikh.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was like, Sikhism? Is that some kind of...
It's a
Because-
2020 thing. It's a
Yeah.
new ism that came
It's
up.
It's not a new ism.
But,
But, everybody gets lumped into one.
Right.
As opposed to understanding what the broad sense of it is.
Yeah.
Well, and especially if you understand the culture behind a lot of those, it'll
Right.
explain why people do certain things and they don't,
Yeah,
and you can avoid making somebody mad.
right.
Yeah, by just not, just respect.
Just by
Just being
respect,
respectful,
right? Exactly.
That's your belief, and I will respect that, kind of thing. And then lastly, acknowledge the distinctions between the natural sciences and religion when teaching the natural and physical sciences.
Now, I thought they had a pretty good thing in here where they said, if you get into the 72 pages,
You're right.
where they said, don't look for science to answer religious questions, and don't look for religion to answer
Science.
natural world things. And that totally makes sense. Because
Right.
one of them is philosophical and the other one is.
And I think it's important for us to have our faith, but also realize that science plays a big role in our lives.
I was often asked when I was, a biology major, how you can also be a Christian. How can you be a practicing Christian and a scientist at the same time? And I was like, well, to me, it seemed pretty easy because there are some mysteries that science haven't yet revealed. And, the creator of all things knows all of these things. I mean, to me, the two didn't need to be separate as much as
Right.
they are. But I think, definitely we need to teach the science of things.
It's really
Trying to find a different word other than science.
as we go through this whole thing, it's more about a tolerance of different views and different practices and different ways to do things. It's that tolerance of being able to have a discussion about science with a discussion on religion and see how that marries up.
Yeah, too bad Ed's not strolling through here since he was a science teacher.
Yeah.
But one of the other things I thought was interesting in here is that school's not teaching anything about religion basically shows that it's unimportant. That's what it said in the text.
Interesting, yeah.
That it's not worth anybody's time. So, if you ignore it, if you ignore something and you show people that, it doesn't really matter, then they're not going to really be interested in paying attention to it.
Because when I was growing up, we didn't have any Christian ed or religious ed in school. The Catholics went across the street to the Catholic Church. We went down to the street to the Lutheran Church. The Methodists went, down the hill and up to the net. There was no discussion of religion really in school.
And in going to your separate congregations and churches, you only then get the perspective
Right.
of people that are like-minded. So you don't, I'm
You don't
really
broaden
loving
your horizon.
I'll give Susan Hayes a shout out about that Lent Madness thing, which is an Episcopalian Lent thing about saints. And, that's not really where we go
not
as
really, yeah,
Lutherans. It's not
Lutheran
really a
thing.
Lutheran thing, but I'm super enjoying the history and the learning that's going on with this whole Lent Madness thing. And had I not spoken to someone else, or she hadn't spoken
To
to me, or,
clarify
to talk about it, I would have gone on probably misunderstanding
Yeah.
people's connections to saints. And I'm learning
Well, I found
lot more than
interesting that actually, I can't remember what year it was, but Dietrich Bonhoeffer actually won the competition.
Interesting.
See?
So a Lutheran won.
Yeah, a Lutheran
The-
pastor.
Yeah, anyway, so Lent Madness, look it up if you haven't.
Lent Madness.
Betsy said, understanding comes from knowledge, and understanding leads to respect from Deb Horton. Definitely all those things. Concur. Do we want to talk about educational reform, that last section there, or moving on? What should we, because it's how we should evaluate proposals for educational reform.
Yeah.
You know what, you can
We
do
can
that
run
on
through
your
the
own.
bullets.
You do that on your own.
Yeah. That's homework for
That's
you all.
homework for you. Homework for you. So last page.
So the one bullet that stuck out to me was the first one where the statement proposes a number of measures in public education to reduce the negative effects of poverty and discrimination. And again, that's all about sharing and being with others who may not have what you have. And that's being understanding and supportive, which is what this is all talking about, is supporting our students. And it's not just our students, it's everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all have to live together. So if somebody falls down and goes down the wrong path and makes bad choices, it affects everybody.
Right, absolutely.
Definitely. I think that probably is that next statement. The statement calls for reduction of funding inequities in public education with reforms tied to measurable outcomes. So, you know, if in our community, if one school is lacking services versus another school, that was even actually a discussion here in town, in Walkersville, between the two elementary schools, because of the student population of one school versus the other. One PTA was thriving and providing resources for students, where the other one was struggling and not able to provide as many resources. I don't know how you fix that, but apparently the statement suggests some ways to do that. But that, you know, and that's just in our little microcosm here in the Ville. I can't imagine what it is in larger cities or the suburbs of those larger cities.
Yeah, and I know, like, because my son participated in the JROTC, and in Frederick County, there was only one school that had it, and it was
Right.
Linganore at the time. I think
Okay.
now it's TJ.
It's TJ now.
You know,
Yeah.
so I think, you know, by moving around, especially in, you know, what we want to call inner city school, not really inner city, but,
Yeah.
you know, I think
For
it
our
gives,
purposes here.
yeah,
in the
for our
Ville.
purposes here today, I think that works. You know, it gives kids the opportunity. Granted that if you wanted to participate, you could go to the school where it was, but then again, that poses other challenge of your transportation, your costs, you know.
Yeah, I
how-
actually have a friend. That's what his son did, because his life plan involved going through JROTC. So he changed from Walkersville to DJ, and you know, spent his high school there. So you know, he went through elementary school and middle school and everything with the same people, and then you know, you kind of have to uproot yourself.
Yep. But there's that opportunity. There's that chance to do that. And it may not have been as easy to go from Walkersville to Linganore as it was to go to TJ.
And hopefully not pointing anyone out, but there was a time, but you know, I was able to go and volunteer at my kids' school and help with like reading intervention or math intervention in their younger years. And there was a time that a school in Frederick didn't meet state criteria, and that offered the opportunity for those students then to be bused to a different school because their test scores were so low. There's politics behind it, I'm sure. But they then bussed the kids there, and the difference of level between kindergarten and first grade was amazing. And it was because there wasn't a lot of one-on-one intervention. It wasn't just because there weren't teachers or teachers' aides, but there weren't as many parents able to volunteer in the classrooms. You know, we had volunteers in the classrooms all the time, morning, afternoon, every day, working with these kids, getting them up to grade level, you know, one-on-one, where that opportunity was missing.
Right.
In the school where they were originally supposed to be going to. But interesting. How can we help
But
change that?
But then again, by moving them to a different school doesn't solve the problem.
It didn't solve the
It
problem
does on one level, but
systemically.
not, right.
For an individual, it did.
Right.
But it didn't
Systemically, right.
Systemically.
Absolutely.
I think they are up to par now. They did get some extra resources there, but I'm not a big fan of standardized testing, but in this case, I think it was helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anything else up as we wrap it up? We are at
And that's basically
12.
what this last bullet point talks about, is making sure that everybody has that ability, that opportunity to be able to have those resources. And that's really what a responsibility is of us as parents, as a faith-based community, to support our schools, because ultimately, like you said, Russ,
We got to live with everybody.
we got to live with everybody.
Yeah, rising tides raise all ships or something.
Yep.
Sure.
I don't know.
Falling anchors.
Falling,
sinkholes.
I don't know. Weigh us all down. I'm not sure. There's some nautical something in there. I don't know. Not very
Ahoy,
good.
man.
Well, and the other thing this last thing talks about is it's really sort of make sure everything's available. So if you have a kid who has a special need and there's a school that fits them better, you should be able to put them in that school.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You don't have to make every school fit everybody,
I
Right.
agree.
but you
Yeah.
need to have the opportunity to go where you are best suited.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So I don't know if we have any marching orders. Any way better to sum that up than what we have here.
Get
but
involved.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Carry your cross and serve.
Man, you're
Give.
making everything such a downer.
See, I listened last
It's
time.
not a downer, though. It's a joy,
It
Is it-
is.
as we will see this Sunday.
Okay, there we go. See, that was a better one. It's not a downer. It's a joy.
It is. You know, we don't have to think of the cross as that oppressive, suffering mechanism. We look to the joy of the cross, and that the cross has been overcome and defeated, and the suffering is gone.
Don't use up all your good stuff on Thursday. Save some.
See, he harassed me before for, well, that really wasn't that
wasn't
good.
good enough.
see,
And now
you were
it's
getting
too
on a roll, and I
much.
was like, don't use all
Now
of it
it's
up
too
now.
much.
You want to tease, just a taste.
Just a taste.
Here's $1.
All right, so we will be back. I have no idea how long the economic life.
I don't either. I have
social
not
statement
yet
I
is.
hope
looked
it's
You
not
at it.
see-
72 pages.
I hope it's not 72 pages either. And if it is, I hope they offer us a lovely little summary like they did with education.
I have to say, though, if you have time, the 72 pages are worth going through.
It is. It is.
through,
You
yeah.
know, because I have
Yeah.
been able to go through a good portion of it, and there's a lot of good stuff in there that we could probably use to import
And just make you think. Again, it's just
That's-
knowledge and understanding. It just all goes together.
And I think that's really what we're all about here is
Mm-hmm.
how do we help you think? And it even helps me think.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm learning new stuff every day.
all right.
That's a good thing.
We will
Yeah.
see you Sunday morning.
See you.
Yes, we will. On St. Paul's Facebook page, not Trisha's.